Hello there. The stock in focus today is Fortis Healthcare. Clearly, Moneycontrol reported last evening that the subsidiary is coming up with or planning an IPO. Ashwin Mohan, who is the editors in deal, has reported and spoke about it, broke the story in the first place. Let's bring him on board and ask him to fill us up on all the details about this deal.
Good afternoon, Nikki. Good to be here. So, Nikki, for starters, it's been a rather sluggish start to the IPO market, right?
Sure.
Mostly what happens is post the budget, you see a few big ticket IPO launches or a few big ticket IPO debuts. That's not been the case so far. So it's been a sluggish start to the IPO market, but this is a very interesting one that is we are given to understand from our sources that is in the works potentially in the pharma and healthcare space. In the M&A space, of course, there's a lot of activity going on, but this is one in the equity capital market space. So as Nikki we were pointing out, it is the subsidiary of Fortis Healthcare. Fortis Healthcare is the listed parent of SRL Diagnostics. Now, according to the company, it's the largest in India in terms of geographic presence, and it's also the second largest in terms of revenue. So that's some background about the company per se. Now, what we are given to understand from multiple industry sources with knowledge of the matter is that SRL Diagnostics has in fact initiated preliminary conversations with investment bankers to launch a potential IPO. Now, we are given to understand from our sources that they are looking to raise anywhere around 2,000 crore rupees. No final call has been taken on the timelines or the launch per se, but that's the figure that as of now is doing the rounds, around 2,000 crore rupees. Now, what's the trigger for the IPO? The trigger for the IPO, Nikki, is that SRL Diagnostics is backed by a set of private equity investors. Now, these private equity investors are the likes of NY Jacob Ballas and IFC and a few others. Now, they are the ones who are driving the entire IPO process. And the investment bankers over the last few weeks, in fact the last 7 to 10 days, have made pitches to them. The PE guys are the ones who are looking for an exit. So that's the main trigger as far as this IPO is concerned. We've reached out to both Fortis as well as the PE funds. We're still awaiting for an official response. But Nikki, that's the plan as of now. They are in fact exploring a potential IPO, and preliminary work on that has begun.
All right, Ashwin, I'm also going to squeeze in one more question for you. In that case, talk us about the shareholding of SRL Diagnostic and also the environment about the segment overall. What do you make out of it?
Very good question, Nikki, and it's a very timely question also because, if you look at the stocks of all the listed peers of SRL Diagnostics, it's not been a very healthy environment for them, so to say, in the last 3 years or even in the last 1 year. If you were to look at companies like Dr. Lal, Metropolis, Thyrocare, they have slumped by as much as 40% to 60% in the last year, right? So it's a difficult environment, and a lot of them are facing headwinds. The segment is facing headwinds due to competitive pressures.
Sure.
Now, if one were to talk about the shareholding of SRL Diagnostics, so the promoters hold 57.68%, the PE funds hold around 31.5%. So that's the distribution as far as shareholding is concerned. But one thing is for sure, as part of the Q3 FY23 management commentary that came in from Fortis, which is the parent of SRL Diagnostics, the management did point out that the business is showing initial signs of stabilization post-COVID. So that's something that one needs to look out for. Of course, these are just initial steps that are being taken. Discussions have begun with investment bankers. Perhaps in the next few weeks, some of them will be finalized. A potential launch is, of course, still several months away. But for now, the work has begun, and this is a very interesting one in the healthcare space that we at Moneycontrol will keep a close watch out for.
Clearly an interesting one, and also what remains interesting is the timing of this IPO, as and when this segment comes out. But if you talk about Fortis Healthcare, the parent company as such, off the day's high, and if you look at the sales performance of this company, it's not done too well. ROEs aren't that impressive either. But with this, it's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in.